Hey guys, it's Brantley from Cowboy Slots, and in today's video we're talking all about progressives and we're diving even deeper into them. In this video we're going to show you the different types of progressives that are out there and which ones you can actually gain an advantage over, when to play a progressive and also when to walk away. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to stay notified for when the next episodes come out. Progressives are something that have become extremely common and popular in today's casinos. And when you walk into a casino, do you know exactly what kind of progressives you're looking at and which are the best to play? Without further ado, here is our co-host Mark to tell us all about and break down every single type of progressive.
All right, first let's start with the basics. What is a progressive? So a progressive is an amount that you see on a slot machine that continues to grow in size. So a progressive starts at a certain point and it slowly starts to increase. And it's increasing based on the amount of play that machine gets. So every time a credit bet is placed on that machine, a certain percentage of that is shuffled away into that progressive amount. And so that's why it continues to grow, thus the term progressive. And so you can easily spot these machines because you see a bunch of numbers on the top basically growing in size as the machine gets played. Now this is something that is becoming very, very popular in games. Most games have progressives built in now, so you're going to see this a lot in the casinos. But how do you identify progressive? Look for those counting numbers. It's a big marketing thing. Don't fall for it, but at the end of this video you're going to know what to look for on those progressive amounts. All right, so let's talk about the three different types of progressives, and we'll handle them one at a time. So first, let's talk about standalone progressives. What does this mean? Standalone progressives means that a single machine has a single progressive. So every activity on that machine, every bet wagered on that machine is increasing the progressive of that machine only. No other machines are feeding it. So you can basically kind of have a good idea on which machine to pick. Let's say you have three identical machines next to each other. Same type of machines, and I'm going to put a picture in here of one that I found downstairs. Which one of these do you think is the best to play? What do you think? It's going to be the one on the left. Why? Look at how much larger that progressive amount is compared to these other two. The odds are exactly the same on all three of these machines for hitting that progressive. So if you are going to play and sit down in the standalone machine that has a standalone progressive, look for the one that has the highest amount and sit down and play that. That does not mean your odds are better, but if you do hit the progressive, would you rather hit the one that's very high or do you want to hit the one that's very low? So take a look around, especially if you see one that has a very high progressive compared to the others. That'd be a good candidate machine to sit down and play. But again, as we will say throughout this video, do not chase progressives. Progressives are inherently very difficult to hit. It's something that is kind of like the icing on the cake. Like, you should play the base game because you enjoy the base game. It's low in volatility or you've had good hits on it. And then if you end up getting a progressive, you're just going to be really surprised. But you should never chase that type of progressive. All right, so let's talk about the second type of progressive, and that is local area progressive. So these are machines that are banked, basically meaning that more than one machine share the same progressive amounts. And the way that you can spot this is that each machine has the same progressives on all the displays and they're counting up at the same time. This means that every bet that is wagered on each of these machines is feeding into that kind of group of progressives. What does this mean exactly? It just means that there's no real advantage over picking a certain one of those machines to play. And you will also notice that the progressive tends to count a lot higher because you have more machines feeding that progressive all at once instead of just a single machine. So these progressives tend to get a little bit larger, but again, the odds are still very difficult to hit. But it's good to kind of recognize when you have linked progressives like that, you don't have to worry so much about trying to find the right one to sit down and play. All right, then finally you have your wide area progressives. Now these are the ones that are the mega bucks, the Wheel of Fortunes. They're very, very high, usually in the millions. And the reason they're called wide area progressives is because they are shared amongst many casino properties, sometimes completely statewide. And so because of that, they're very, very, very difficult to hit. Those are not ones that you should ever sit down and play and have any kind of dream of hitting the progressive. Does it happen? Yes, but it is so infrequently. I think most mega bucks machines, maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years, those hit. It's very difficult. And if you think about the number of volumes that people are playing, because they're in every single casino in the state of Nevada, it's very difficult to hit those. So never play those expecting that you're going to hit those big progressives, because they're big. 10 million, it's very attractive. You want to sit down and play that machine, but don't expect it to happen. You're better off at playing at one of the machines that has a lower progressive that's a little bit more attainable for you. All right, now let's talk about the different types of progressives that you might find. You have some that are called must hit by or must win by progressives. What this means is it will be printed somewhere on the machine itself, either in the game rules, but most likely it's going to be by where the progressive amount is displayed on the machine. You will see the words must hit by or must win by and an amount. Let's take the example of Thunder Cash. This is a game that is from Ainsworth. It has a must hit by progressive that's a major and a mini or a minor. And those basically mean that as they start to climb, they have to hit. Somebody has to hit it before it reaches that maximum amount. And the way that works is that the closer it gets to that top amount, your odds start to improve in your favor for winning that progressive. So this is one of the few, very, very few progressives that you have some kind of advantage play over. If you look around and you see a must-hit progressive that is getting very close to that top win amount, I'm saying within 10% or less, then it could be very advantageous to sit down and chase that progressive a little bit. Because it has that must hit by number, you kind of know what to expect. You're going to be getting it most likely within that range. And so it can happen at any time, but with the must hit by progressives, the closer they get to that top amount, your odds start to improve over time. So that is one of the ones that you have some advantage play over. All right, finally, let's talk about the distribution of progressives. And what I mean by this is, why does it always seem that every time I hit a progressive, it's the mini and it's like $10, or it's a minor and it's $24? Why is it that every time I pick those coins on Dancing Drums, it's always those low amounts? It's because that's the distribution. It's heavily weighted in those lower amounts, just like any other slot machine spin. As you know, when you spin the slot machine, most likely you're going to get low amounts of wins. Lots of them, a few of them. Every now and then you get that big win. Progressives work exactly the same way. In Dancing Drums in particular, whenever you get into that bonus where you're picking the coins, it's completely predetermined. So it has decided what progressive it's going to award you before you even start picking those coins. And most likely, in most scenarios, it's going to be one of those lower amounts. It's not because you're not picking well, it's just because that's how the distribution is handled with those progressives. They're not going to pay out the grand every 1 out of 5 times that you hit the bonus. There's very large progressives. And so you're always going to have that chance of hitting it, but most likely, like you can think of like the distribution of how many of those lower wins, it's going to be much larger than that really small sliver of those big progressives at the very end. All right, so what does all this mean to you guys? Well, it means that you should pay attention to the type of progressive of the machine that you're looking at. There are ways to tell when a machine is something that is worth playing or not when it comes to progressives, like we talked about with the must hit by. If you find those types of machines, Ainsworth machines are the most popular. This is your Mustang Money, your was Eagle Bucks, I believe it's called, Thunder Cash. Those have those must hit by progressives. And walk around and look for one that's very close to that maximum and sit down and play it. You might hit that progressive, much more likely than any other progressive. But in general, progressives should always be considered something that you just accidentally get. You should never really chase. The only exception, again, is that must hit by. But chasing progressives is not a good idea. They're not in your favor. They're usually very low amounts. Hitting those upper tier progressives are very difficult. So don't play a game because of the progressives. They're already very volatile games because of that. And the reason is because every time you wager a bet, a percentage of that is being fed into those progressives. And so that brings the volatility of the machine up. Much more difficult to win, much more difficult to get those line hits also. So if you are going to play a progressive game, don't be blindsided by those progressive amounts, because it's misleading. It's a marketing thing to get you and draw you into the machine. As we always suggest on this channel, play a machine without a progressive and play those low volatile machines. You're going to better your chances and extend your bankroll a little bit. But if you do like the idea of winning a progressive and you've always wanted to do so, hopefully this video helped you a little bit, that you can spot which progressive machines are the best ones to play. So again, everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments section below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And a subscription would be nice if you like this kind of content. So guys, thank you so much. I am Mark from Cowboy Slots, and we'll see you on the next video.